Good day, Mzansi, and welcome to another episode of Defense in Focus. We are so privileged here where we can bring the insights of the Defense Force and the SANDF. But again, my name is Kiboni Ramasimung, and I'm your host, but I am not alone in studio today. I've got my amazing co-host, Major Mashiani.
You said it right there. As she said, Major Evelyn Mashiani, otherwise affectionately known as Mesh. I'm not alone, Kiboni. We are honored. We are very honored to launch this with the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Mama Angie Motshekga. Mama dumelang. Le kae mama?
No. What a privilege, Mama. Thank you so much for honoring us like this. It's always great to have visitors like this on our studio, on our set. We love to hear from so you are here with us. We're going to share knowledge, we're going to share wisdom, and so excited that having you as a woman in the Defense Force and leading us. But we are about to go into a conversation that will take us from here to where we find you here today. Let me start. Mama Angie Kimang.
No. No, my maiden name is Matsira Morola.
Mama Matsi.
I was born here in Gauteng, in Soweto. The second child from the family of 5. And just had normal upbringing, like any other child who grows up in the township. Nothing spectacular, nothing dramatic, just normal upbringing from a very, I would say, privileged family, because I had my mother and father. They raised us both. I had grannies, I had aunts, so I really had a very protected environment and supportive.
Just tell us, Mama Angie, how does your day look like on a normal day before you, when you wake up? What's the first thing that Mama does?
The first thing I do is to reflect and speak to myself, talk to myself about the day. And so for me, it's really that 10 minutes, which is me and me.
Okay.
And say, today, this is what I have to do. This is what I'm going to do. These are the things that I must achieve. These are the things that possibly went well, have to consolidate, or these are things that went wrong, and the first things to sort them up. Then from there, it's really family and move on to work. But it's the me time, the first thing I do, and talk to myself.
And I like that you reflect and you plan your day. But there's an interesting thing that happened a year ago. For me, you wake up and you plan your day, you meditate, you do what you do normally. And then there's that announcement. Minister of Department of Defense and Military Veterans. Angie Motshekga, what goes on in your mind at that time?
Yeah.
I tell you, I mean, it's the strangest. And I always tell the story that when the announcement was made, most people said, this is a shock appointment. And I said, they don't know I was even more shocked than them. So at least they were shocked, but I was really most surprised. Normally we get invited in the evening. I was home with my family. Then we get a call, go to the presidency. And because I had dismissed the drivers, you really don't make assumptions. I had to drive myself, and it was rainy, and just felt that I can't ask people to move all the way. The other one stays at Brett's, the other one stays at Brett's. I said, I'm going to jump into the car. And so I arrived a bit late because, I was told the last minute. So when I sat next to the president of COSATU, who says, you want to wish this soldier? I said, Njani ngoku? Soldier. No, the president had already announced because I arrived late.
Okay.
So he had announced and he consults also from the governing party, consults COSATU, SACP, and I said, Njani ngoku? Says, and I really thought she was pulling my leg.
Yeah.
And when the president confirmed, I said, Aibo, how did we get here? I said, I'm a social scientist. And
did you manage to sleep on that night, though?
No, I really was not
pondering
sure.
the whole time.
What is this now? How did I get here? So it was quite strange. For some time, I just kept on saying to myself, how did I get here? And what am I expected to do here? All the people, I've known the president for a long time, even during, he knows who I am. So how did I get here? But it took me time really to internalize and just say, hey,
Now, Mama
that's
Angie,
it.
I understand that it also came as a shock because of the many years of profession you've been in your teaching capacity, and now you're a soldier. To tell me about the transition now. Where are we from being a teacher as a profession, and then now we are working Kaditunya Mama. You were welcomed very
No, it's-
nicely today, I am
No, it's a
sure.
different world. It's just I mean, not only myself, my mother was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher.
It's a
It's a
lineage.
different
my
world
my
altogether.
grandmother's father was a teacher.
Wow.
So it's really, I grew up with books and chalks.
Yeah.
And when we played housing, I used to play teaching. So that's why I didn't have any problem. I used to play teacher.
Yeah.
So that's what has been me. I mean, at some stage when I passed matric, there was a thought that I should go and do medicine, law, but I just felt that no, I just want to teach.
Yeah.
And now to come into defense, as I say, it was a real strange one, but I told myself that I'm not going to fight, I'm not a general. Because we had a conversation with the president to say, President, how did I come here? I mean, what do you expect of
I'd
me?
love to know, what did he say when you asked?
No, it says that general, we're
Yeah.
going to be working with you. So people who know the war, I'm the CIC as the president. I'm not a soldier,
Yes.
but I am able at a theoretical, political level, able to engage with the general.
Yeah.
It says there are well-trained people there, very seasoned. We don't have problems in terms of defense leadership. So all you have to do is go and support them, make sure that things go well in the defense. We have a major problem about funding. This thing may collapse. There are also administrative issues, and we delved into this into details around more of administration and support. So they're not going to be a general. They're generals. Don't worry.
And Major here speaks about you moving from education to the defense, but then you've been in government for many years. The heart of service,
Serving.
and the heart of serving South Africans. Where does that stem from?
I mean, if you're a teacher, it's, as I say, even when from childhood, when we played housing, I used to play teacher. So when
It's been a passion of yours.
So when I was in matric, I used to, I did my matric at Mariazell. For some reason, the nuns recognized me. We used to go and teach the catechism in the communities and work there. So it's really been my life without me consciously deciding that this is who I want to be. Just found myself in that space.
Yeah. And when does politics start? You being a teacher to getting into politics?
Strange, actually, because we grew up in my grandmother's house.
In Soweto as well.
In Soweto.
Okay.
Her father was one of the chaplains of the ANC before 1912. So we grow up in a house where you just speak freely about politics. And I remember there will be times when my grandma says, hey, stand up, let's pray. Then we know something outside has happened. Maybe they've captured ANC people or this. So it's always been there, but not, as I say, taking it personal. It's only when I think I was in high school where the teacher, Tom Mantata, he was my English teacher. He's really the one who helped us understand politics much better when I was in the primary school. So again, as I say, I found myself in that space. It's not something that I became clever one day. So I grew up in a house where they talk politics. I go to a school, there's our English teacher, and then and for some reason, I don't know why he would say, you come with me, we're going to, Kissinger is coming, we're going to protest. So by the time I went to university, one understood the world around them. Yeah. So you just grow into that space. I can't say I woke up with a brilliant idea one day. I just found myself in that space. University, and then
Which university is this?
I studied at TEFLOP.
TEFLOP.
University of the North. That's my first degree. I did at TEFLOP, and then you become a teacher. The teacher politics. I mean, I'm humbled also to say we're the co-founders of SATU.
Yeah.
I was the first convener for Teacher Unity Talks, requested by the ANC whilst it was still in exile. We went there and said, because I'm a quiet person, so it was not easy to detect me.
Yeah.
So they could easily say, bring all these teacher organizations, form one strong teacher union, and then we formed SATU together. So again, you find yourself in the river. I didn't ask them to invite me, but they invited me. And they're the ones who appointed me to be the first convener for Teacher Unity Talks, which led to the formation of SATU.
Sure. Mama, you are speaking about you playing a leadership role, and you did it
It just
naturally.
came,
It just
yeah.
came. And you find yourself in a very patriarchal department at the moment.
Sure.
What does gender transformation mean for you in this organization? And do you see it take place, or is it something that still needs to be worked on?
No, it actually, I feel very passionate about it, about the fact that we're privileged as women to find ourselves in the positions that we are in. And it's not because we've done anything special, it's because other women before us paved the way for us.
True.
So it's our responsibility to make sure that the road remains open and we pave it more open for younger girls, because it's not an easy struggle, to be honest, because we're socialized into believing in the superiority of men. And also, we don't want conflicts. You just want to step back and sometimes compromise your process. So I feel very passionate about supporting other women, younger women.
Yeah.
And I always have an age advantage. You know, when you're older, you don't fear anybody. Urakadi most. So I don't fear men anymore. Most of them are young.
Yeah.
So it really helps me not to fear anyone. I don't fear them. Maybe when I was young, I could be shy, but now at my age, so I'm comfortable in their space because all of them, they're younger than me. But consciously, I know it's quite difficult to navigate your way if you're a woman in an environment, because you want to maintain the balance, but you also have to make sure that you don't compromise yourself.
Just on that
stay
point,
focused.
of expressing the setup of male dominance. You are now in that setup. Military or the South African National Defence Force, so the department itself is mainly dominated by male. How have you found your feet so far? We are 1 year over in office thus far.
Yeah.
How's been your experience since then?
Believe you me, as much as I say I don't fear, but you also have to be aware that unconsciously people becomes success in a very patriarchal place. Yeah. I work with two men. I also have to all the time make sure that because I know it's easy for them to just think they will ready. So softly to say, let's respect each other, let's work together.
Out of respect.
But just don't get there. It won't be right. Even with the generals, I know I respect them, but I'm very conscious that they are men and they are if I don't put my foot down. So it's to really get them to really appreciate the fact that you respect them, but also understand that you have not come to play. And you're not going to allow them to make you a doormat. And you do it nicely but firmly. To say, this is where it stops.
It stops here. And Mama, while we speak about gender, but I know you have a heart for people in general because you're a public servant, one. But the youth lies closely to your heart. Recently, you had an outreach in Bloemfontein where you went to schools where you wanted to showcase the Defence Force and what the capabilities of the Defence Force are.
The ministerial outreach program,
when you were speaking to the soldiers, you came up with the term putting soldiers first. What does that translate to? What does that mean to the citizens of South Africa?
You know where I came from in education? We always had to identify who is our core client, who are we serving? And our focus is on children. To say anything that we do, if it doesn't impact on the lives of children, is meaningless. If we're going to bring policies and those policies don't mean anything to those children, it's meaningless. In the Defence Force, my view is that unless anything we do looks after the well-being, the safety, because we are all resting on the shoulders of our soldiers. If we say we're going to go to war, we mean them. We don't mean we're not going to be there. If we say we're going to defend the country, we mean them. We were not going to be doing anything ourselves as generals. So which means, or even as ministers. So which means they become the anchor of the department. So if we can't take care of their needs, so which means we can't take care of that very component of our work that is carrying all of us, because it's the soldiers that are carrying us. So if we can forget it and then really go fluffing around nature, I think we'd be losing our focus, because we are all resting on the shoulders of the soldiers, and we have to make sure that we prioritize them as the most important people, because they are carrying all of us.
And as just a follow-up to that is that what are the programs that will push that? I remember when the Constitution started, we are, especially as government employees, we push Batupili.
Yeah.
And now we basically saying soldiers first, Masole pele. What programs will speak to that? That will make sure that every South African honors the soldier. Everybody in this country, from a little child all the way to the elderly, knows that a soldier is the top class citizen of this country.
No, it's true, but we have to start in the department to honor and respect them. For instance, I'm very passionate about women soldiers. We can't be pushing numbers and not make sure that those numbers are supported. So if we say 30% of them, they're in a patriarchal society. They're mothers, they're child bearers. So if we're going to push these young girls into the defense, we don't look after their health needs, we don't look after their family needs, we don't look at childcare. So even ourselves, we want the society to respect them, but we don't necessarily support them. So for me, it's to get the department first, to support them, to say, if we run short of anything, can be anything else, but not things that deal with the soldiers. If they have to get safety vests, they're the ones who are supposed to get it before, because we're not fighting.
Yes.
So that which we could be buying at head office, let it stop if we are going to do it at the expense of the soldiers. So first for me, it's to get things right in terms of gender, in terms of age, both age, even those who are advanced age, so that let them not retire poor. We don't know where they're going to end up. So let's look at their needs throughout age. But the beautiful thing about defense, which humbles me, that I had this opportunity to come and work in this department. When I grew up, even those white soldiers, they will just stand on the street. Everybody will give them a lift. That's how respected they are.
I remember those times, yeah.
Exactly. So so everybody knew that these are special people. But I was proud when we went to Bloemfontein. I was quite surprised. As we were turning, kids were really saluting.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a good culture which we should inculcate in our kids, that these are some of the most important people in our country, themselves and police in their code of conduct, not only take an oath to serve, but they also take an oath with their lives.
Yeah.
And which for me is very deep.
Sure.
That you take an oath to put your life in the defense of others. And I think that's what people should appreciate, respect soldiers, so that this is an oath about their last gift, which is life. So we have to give them the best respect we can, because they've made this oath.
That's so good. Yeah.
Minister, I'm quite excited with how the conversation, Gibo, is going. You've highlighted a couple of things, and as we are talking, something comes to mind. What is the most special experience you've just once had that you are able to share, where you were in within the space of soldiers, that which you are to this day you are passionate about with soldiers? What is the one thing, sentiment that they had left you with thus far?
I can tell you, I've enjoyed teaching, but I find defense a very humbling environment, very humbling. And I'm still not used to it. They're very organized.
Thank you.
I think this. I'm not used to this control and
command and control.
Command. I just find it so disarming, so humbling, that I still find. So just for me that the conduct of
The conduct,
in the defense force, I just find
the
it
honor, the respect.
yeah, I just find it so humbling, especially coming from people who we would expect that they have been orientated into war, other things. So I find it disarming up to now. I think I'll get used to it, but I'm still not used to it.
Yeah, and personally, because I am a civilian in the military, uh, discipline for me was a thing, and taking that discipline to schools, Mama, I think could be a thing for young children to grow up in. And part of the discipline that we talk about is national symbols and honoring those,
Yeah.
and which are big in the defense force.
Correct.
With the kids in Bloemfontein, I think there was a TikTok with those kids marching and doing.
They were so
Scouts,
excited, and they were so excited.
They were so excited, and
They
it
were
was
so
so
excited.
beautiful
It was
to
beautiful.
see. But then, are there programs or maybe opportunities that we, as the Department of Defense, would integrate with the Department of Education to
Yeah.
merge the two? That we get to teach about patriotism as part of the syllabus
Yeah.
in schools, that our kids, I mean, the next steps. It's always nice. It's nice to see these programs happen, but then what are the next steps to make sure that these programs are inculcated in our kids' mind, that they grow up in it? You know, it's easy for you because you were like, I grew up in politics.
Yeah.
These kids don't grow up in discipline, don't grow up in patriotism. So what can we do with other departments to make sure that this gets
To make it a culture, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
To
for me,
restore that dignity that we all need.
no, it's very important. That's why I say finding myself in the space of defense, it's a very humbling experience for me
Yeah.
personally. But also, one of the things I did in my career was a teacher trainer. When I was working at VETS, I was working in the education department. We were training teachers. And I used to say to them, if you can't discipline your kids, you won't teach them.
Yeah.
Unless you have discipline in your class, you won't be able to succeed.
True.
And if we have to get our kids to succeed, discipline becomes central. And they like the military style. I mean, even here, you saw people all came to watch. People, instinctively, people like order, like discipline. And if we bring it in a non-teaching way where we teach them to do that, which can be alienating, but bring the defense which they really admire,
Yeah.
and getting them to even get the discipline instilled in through or in partnership with the defense will help them a lot. And even the out of school youth who may have lost their heart to see other people walking straight,
Yeah.
clean, orderly, and natural. I think we are all orderly people. It's just that as we go, things fall apart. So I do hope that we will be able to reach as many children as possible and just say to them, there's still value in discipline, in order. There's still value in humility. There's still value in patriotism. There's still value in respect of country, of self, and people around you. So I do hope that we can reach as many as possible.
Okay. Mama, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in studio today. My heart speaks to your heart. You speak so well about women, about young people.
Yeah.
And that speaks to a heart of a mother. And you have shown that even in the Department of Defense. And unfortunately, because we have time, we have to end it here. And I hope in the future you'll come back and,
No, we'll-
and just
I'd
grace
love
us
to.
with your with your presence again.
I'd
And the
love to.
wisdom that you carry, Mama.
Ke leboha.
Re leboga kudu. Re
you
learned
very much.
dintsi mo go lena.
Oh,
We learned a lot from you.
Ra leboha.
That is what I was just said.
No,
right.
thank you very much. No, thanks for having me.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Ke
much.
leboha.
Thank you so much for tuning in this episode of Defense in Focus. My name is Kiboni Ramasimung, and I'm with my host,
Major Evelyn Mashiyane.
and we are saying goodbye, but make sure that you do not miss the next episode of Defense in Focus.